Tata Motors should come up on the screen. The ADR did very well overnight, and that stock is holding just about 1% higher at 167. There's been a lot of talk over the last 48 hours on what the Nano could do or not do for that company. Dr. V. Sumantran is now with Hinduja Automotive UK. He's the vice chairman there. He was the former executive director of Tata Motors and was the architect of their last big small car project or foray. Dr. Sumantran, good morning. Thanks very much for joining in. First, your sense of what are sustainable prices for the Nano base version once the initial offer is through, and what kind of a sustainable margin profile can that company work with on this product?
Well, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. It's been over 3 years since I left Tata, so I wouldn't feel comfortable commenting on their specific financial model, even with the Nano. But what I can say is that clearly the team have achieved something that a lot of the industry globally thought was almost impossible. And they have truly, with the architecture and the way it has been executed, achieved a new benchmark in product costing. Given the track record of the company, I have no doubt that they will persevere and make this product both a product success and a commercial success.
Dr. Sumantran, morning. If you were to carve out appetite for a product like this in the Indian market right now, though, how high or moderate would you reckon it would be? Because what critics have pointed out is that with something priced the way it is, which is the Nano, the big click will be how much demand it gets.
I think from the beginning, the segment that the Nano is targeted at is truly a new segment, and it is in the gulf between the very large demand we see for two-wheelers. I mean, we sell over 8 million two-wheelers a year in India, and that's a very, very large market by any standards. So even if one were to nudge into the volume base of two-wheelers, as the Nano will no doubt do, it can tap into a very large population that truly can afford a two-wheeler and more today, but would really be hard-pressed to plump for a full-fledged car at over 3 lakhs. So I think the Nano will address a very large potential market in India.
How do you expect the industry leaders to react, Dr. Sumantran? You know this market very well. I mean, Maruti's comparable model at 800 or Alto is a good 40% higher than the Nano, if not more, even more so with Hyundai. Do you think they will be able to react in some form with their low-end models, or do you think they will just not compete in that segment of the market?
No, I think based on the various reactions from these players, it is clear that some form of reaction will be inevitable. Whether they will truly target directly a competitor to the Nano remains to be seen. It is perhaps unlikely. But they will nevertheless mount a very tough challenge and configure a product that they believe works best with their infrastructure and their resources. So it will, in a sense, provide us within this spectrum of pricing a broader range of products. And without a doubt, I think the kinds of makers you mentioned will move south in the price points. As I said, whether they will really attempt to target the Nano's price point is open to question. But it will open up for some very interesting dynamics in the industry.
Absolutely. In fact, many of the papers today have full spreads from Alto, and I don't think that is something that's just come out of the blue. Dr. Sumantran, just one point on the kind of clientele that's being focused over here. And I think people were a bit surprised about this 75,000 being put right up front as a booking amount. Would you say that's a good tactic?
I think the company probably realizes the production capacity they will have. They know that they are on a ramp-up phase at this point. They have had in the past a very good track record of dealing with deposits and dealing with addressing the huge demand from customers. So I'm quite sure that they have thought through this very carefully.
past instances, Dr. Sumantran, of such small car forays from the global majors? I mean, there was the instance of Daewoo with the Matis and many others, where such attempts have not been very profitable and have not worked very well financially for auto companies. Do you think Tata Motors will be an exception? Or do you think wafer-thin margins, particularly in the case of any kind of subsequent commodity flare-ups, might put a lot of pressure in the corporation as such?
I think you make a very interesting point, a very important point. I think throughout history, there have been a number of attempts to address truly a people's car in various societies, in various cultures. A large majority of them have had difficulty, but then a few have really succeeded, and they've really gone on to become icons. You know, I talk about the Volkswagen Beetle, I talk about the Fiat 500 in the 1950s. These are the Morris Mini in the 60s in the UK. These were all truly people's cars that, because of hitting the bullseye of what the customer wanted, they were fun cars, they had character, they had the right qualities. These went on to become truly legends, and it's no irony today or no coincidence today that those very same products are seen as retro models with the Fiat Cinquecento or the Volkswagen new Beetle or even the new Mini. So I think what one can say is it is a very difficult task to make a product into a cult car. But people's cars, when executed correctly, have truly become cult cars. So I think what the next 4-5 years will tell us is if Nano truly climbs onto that stage of truly becoming a cult car, that is something only the consumers, the customers will vote and determine.
You were part of the Indigo launches, though, Dr. Sumantran. From your experience, is it doable to bridge the kind of gap that Tata Motors has right now? Basically, my question is, did you have a sense of what the passenger vehicle aspirations were? Because now there's Nano, which is low margin, high volume expectedly, and then on the complete other end, there's something like Jaguar Land Rover.
Well, there are 2 points in the question you raise. One is the ability of a company to truly address products at very different ends of the consumer spectrum. The other is the issue of managing brands. If I take the first point, I think because of the development emanating from two very different societies, the JLR development emanating out of the UK and the Tata Nano development emanating out of India, it is possible to have the development teams acutely tuned to the needs of the respective customer base. Managing brands across this kind of price and positioning spectrum is a very difficult challenge. And here again, while many companies have failed, there are a few that have really succeeded quite distinctively. BMW is a good example. They've been extremely great custodians of the Mini as a brand, and they have managed to position the Mini and operate the Mini as a distinct brand, successful in its own right, and yet absorbing the right flavor of the quality and the dynamics of BMW. So here again, it is doable, it is not easy, and again, it will be history that will tell us after a few years as to whether the ability to manage these disparate brands, very different brands, is indeed something that is pulled off.
Dr. Sumantran, appreciate you joining in today with your thoughts. Thanks very much. That's V. Sumantran, former Executive Director of Tata Motors, telling us about the prospects for the Nano. When we come back,